Hey guys! So today's project that I'm working on is one that I actually figured out because I wanted to create something and I was missing a piece. So you guys know that those beautiful French tags that you can buy, the ceramic ones. I was doing a project and I needed some and I didn't have any. I collect them, but I had used them all. And so I sat down and figured out how to make my own. And so these are just examples of some of the ones I've made, different combinations of colors. This one's my favorite actually, is the black with the copper, but I've done the copper with black. And then these are just some blanks that I have. I haven't decided what I'm going to do with them yet, but they're created and it's just a matter of me painting them to decide what I'm going to do. And so we're going to go over how you guys can create these faux ceramic tags for your craft projects, or with the holidays coming, you guys, this could be a beautiful way to customize a gift tag for someone that you really love. So let's get started. My name is Royce Hunt Bell, owner and operator of Roycycled Treasures, and I love buying and upcycling old things and figuring out how to make new things with normal craft supplies. And so today we're going to make some ceramic tile, and we're going to use several things. We'll be using Iron Orchid Designs air dry clay is what we'll be using. Let me get my huge bag I have over here. I have a lot of clay right now because I've been working on a large project, but this is Iron Orchid Designs air dry clay. It's super soft, you guys. It's high quality clay, and you can use this with your Iron Orchid Design molds, but we'll be using to actually make our tag base today. We'll be actually using resin in our Iron Orchid Design molds today. This is the Harper mold is what I'll be using today, and it has alphabets and numbers in it, so I really love this mold. But I found that I have more success with this mold when I use resin. So I'll show you guys. We'll be using resin, and we'll be using Amazing Casting Resin. Now this one is the 10-minute formula. There is one that cures in 5 minutes. I don't know who can use that. I tried using it once and the resin was literally curing as I was pouring it out of the cup. The 10 minutes is nice because it sets up quick so you can get your projects done, but it gives you enough time to actually be able to pour your project before it starts setting. I think I'm going to begin with the resin. That way the resin can be curing while we're doing the other things. So a lot of people are afraid of resin because you feel like it's going to be hard, but it really is super simple, you guys, and it is a lot of fun. So when I'm pouring resin, I love using these silicone cups, especially with a small mold like this, because it allows me to squeeze my cup and really have control, and I'm less likely to over pour when I use these. One of the things that I do though, these lines are like little raised lines. And I can't see that, y'all. So I use my marker and I go in and I mark my measurements with the black marker so that I can actually see when I'm pouring what I'm doing. And I never ever pour more than 7 mils of resin at a time. With a 10-minute cure time, you're just not gonna have time to pour any more than that. So I'm gonna go ahead and pour these. It comes in 2 parts. You have part A and part B. I pour them both in the same cup. I'm gonna pour A first up to this line, and then I'm gonna pour B to the 4th line. That way I know it's 50-50 of each one. And then you stir it and you pour it. It's just that easy, you guys. Super easy. So when you start stirring, your mixture will get cloudy, and you want to keep stirring until it's clear again. And you want to make sure that it's all clear. You may see some like ribbons of cloudiness, and you really want to keep stirring until your entire mixture is clear and you don't have any more of those ribbons that are in yours. I have some pieces of old resin in there, but we're just going to ignore those. So I'm going to go ahead and pour. I probably mixed more than I needed. This particular mold, because they're so small, it's really easy to over pour. So I'm gonna say, if you haven't done this before, don't pour more than 2 mils because you're probably gonna run out of time before you get to pour all of these. Once it starts getting milky, you guys, it's over. it's over. So I poured way too much. I should have done 2 mils. And for the ones I over poured, I'm just kind of going in and pulling some of the resin off of them before it starts setting. And the resin is really, it works counter to how you believe it would work. So the resin generates heat. So you guys are probably thinking, how is it that your cup is already setting up and these ones that I poured first aren't setting up yet? So the resin generates heat, and the hotter it gets, the faster it sets. And the more resin that you have as far as volume, the warmer it gets. And so in the cup, there's more resin. So it's generating more heat in the cup. And so that's why it's setting up quicker than even the areas here where I poured it first. And it's because there's less resin in here and there's less heat being generated. And so that's gonna set up slower. But it's okay. I'm just going through and cleaning up my over pours a little bit so that I won't have any problems popping those out in a little bit. I'm gonna set this aside, you guys, and let this cure while we work on the rest of our project. Now the numbers are just part of your tag, right? You're gonna need to create a backing so that you can have something to put your numbers on. So that is what we're gonna do right now. I have some air dry clay that's already open, and you guys will note that I have like a piece of paper towel in here. So this is a piece of wet paper towel that I have in here, and that's how I keep my clay moist and keep it from drying out. And so even the package that I have that isn't opened, I store it in this bag as well. That way I don't have to worry about it drying out at all. Now to prep my surface, I'm gonna dust it with some cornstarch. Regular cornstarch like you get at the grocery store, and I'm just gonna use my brush and dust my surface. That way I don't have to worry about my clay sticking to my surface. And I'm gonna dust my my rolling pin as well. And the bands that I have on here are about 1/8 of an inch thick is what we'll be doing for rolling these out. And so I'm gonna pinch off some clay, a size that I think is gonna be appropriate for this project. And I'm just gonna knead it out a little bit because I look at the shape of this, right? And I kind of want to influence the shape that I'm gonna get when I'm rolling out. So I have this on there, and I have my rolling pin is dusted, my surface is dusted, so I don't have to worry about it sticking. And so my first couple of rolls are really gonna be about creating a shape. And I know what shape I need because I'm looking at the cookie cutter that I'm gonna use. And these cookie cutters, you guys, I just found these on Amazon. I'll put a link so that you guys will know them. This is actually, I believe, the largest one, but it comes in different sizes. So if you guys saw earlier, my tags were different sizes, but this is the one I wanted to use for today's demonstration. So I have my cookie cutter here. You guys, this is such an easy project. I think it's an easy project that has like, I mean, a lot of potential. So I just cut that out just like I would if it were a cookie, right? And now I have this super cute backer that I can build anything on. I try not to touch it too much because I really want it to be smooth. So we're gonna set that aside and let it dry. So now that our tag is dried and our numbers are cured, we're ready to move forward. We're gonna go ahead and just pop these right out. So you see how I over poured on this 9 a little bit? Like, it's not a big deal, you guys. I can just pull that out. And you guys will notice that when you first pull out your resin, if you pull them out right away, like right after they cure, they're still malleable, right? So you can still like wiggle them a little bit. So if you were working on a project and you wanted to be able to curve it around a surface, you could pull it out of your mold early, and then you could just tape it on that curved surface and you could still use the resin. So I'm just picking out those over poured pieces that I'm good on that one. I'm always drawn to the same numbers. Like, what are you guys' favorite numbers? 5, 7, 15. I don't know, I find myself being drawn to the same numbers over and over again. And then I had some letters that I poured as well, which they're not gonna be as nice because my resin was already starting to set up. But did I not do an E? I meant to do an E because we were gonna write out love, but maybe not. We could cheat and just use this U, right? So any over pours that are on there, you guys, I'm just literally pulling them off. Like, it's seriously not a big deal. As long as you take your resin out early, you have like the flexibility to be able to clean up your pieces like this. And if it's a deeper pour like this one, you know, it's a deeper over pour. If I had, well, I can use these scissors. I'll use my little snippy scissors. You can use your little snippy scissors, and you can even cut those over pours out because the resin is still a little soft. So I can cut that right out, and my letter still looks really clean when I'm done. So don't be afraid of the resin, you guys. It's a really cool product. And for the molds that have like a ton of detail in them, because you're pouring the resin in as a liquid, it picks up like every single detail just absolutely beautifully. And so that's how I clean up my my molds when I do over pour them. And so don't feel like because you have a little over pour that your project is ruined, because it's easy enough to clean up. So we have popped those out. I'll pop the other ones out and clean those up in a bit. And we have this one that is already painted. So we can glue, we'll do 576 on this one. It's an arbitrary number, you guys. I don't know what it means, but my brain likes it. I'm gonna clean this one up a little bit more. And you can use the clay with these molds. It's just that because they're so small, it's just really finicky. And I just have more success using the resin with the Harper mold than I do using the clay. And because we're usually spelling something out with the Harper mold, it's kind of nice to be able to pour them and pop them out, like a lot of them at a time. And that way when you get ready to actually do your project where you're spelling something out, you have all of your letters made already. And we have this little tag here that I wanted to paint black. So let's do that really quickly. Oh, I think I wanted to glue the number on first. That's why I didn't do it. So gluing your numbers on, you guys, because we want this to look like ceramic and because we want it to be nice and smooth, this is probably the only time that I am super cautious with my glue because I don't want to get glue on the surface. And so I have this little rubber mat and I'm going to be able to pick all this up really easily, which is another reason why I like having this mat on my table sometimes too. I'm just going to use my fingers, but you can use a really tiny brush, but you only want to get glue like on the back of your numbers, and you don't want to use a ton of glue because if you use a ton then it squishes out and then you have to contend with cleaning that up on your piece because you want it to look nice and clean, right? So we're going to put glue, but we're not going to put a ton of glue because I don't want the glue to kind of squeeze out when I push my number down on my tag. So I'm being really cautious and not as generous with the glue. I'm still putting enough that it's going to attach to my surface really well though. And I'm just using Quick Bond or Type Bond Quick and Thick glue is the glue that I use with my molds. And see, I have a little bit that squeezed out there, but I'm just going to leave it. I don't think you'll notice it because of where it is on the 7. So I wanted to show you, I don't know if that M is going to be too much. We'll do 6N. That you could either do it the way I did it here. I painted it first and then glued my numbers on there. And I'm going to paint it again. Or you could just glue it all together and then paint it afterwards. So it's just a matter of your preference on how you want to do that. If you're going to do your numbers a different color, you would want to paint them before adhering them to your tag though. And if you wanted your numbers to be a different color, like you could absolutely do that, right? But you guys see how the 1-hour enamel dries differently than the chalk style paint does. It doesn't have the texture, it dries super smooth, and so what we end up with is a tag that really does look like it is ceramic. And you could use chalk paint. I mean, just know that you're going to have more texture if you use the chalk paint. And I'm just going in and kind of cleaning up that extra paint that's puddling around my numbers because we don't want that. And so now I can actually go in, you guys, and I'm just going to use my finger. And I have some black 1-hour enamel that I have here on my plate. And I'm just gonna go over the top of my letters just so they stand out and we can actually see them. And I'm still using the 1-hour enamel because I want to have that consistent surface. And I'm almost dabbing it on there, not really rubbing it. And so now I have a 76. That's my tag. If you want it to be like super fancy, you could go around and put an outline like I did on this one. You could use a super tiny brush. I just used the ball of my cleaning tool to do it, and I just dipped it into my paint, and then I just drew the line around the edge just as an extra detail. But you could use, if you had like a tiny brush, that would work too, absolutely. And just kind of go around and create that line like you would see on the old ceramic tile. So that is how, you guys, I created my ceramic tiles, or ceramic tags, I guess we'll call them. We started by pouring our molds ahead of time. I used the Harper mold from Iron Orchid Design for this one, and we poured using the amazing casting resin. So I poured mine first so it could cure while I worked on the tags. We used Iron Orchid Design's air dry clay, and we rolled it out to about 1/8 of an inch. And then we used a cookie cutter to actually cut our tag, and then just glued on our Harper numbers, and then you can paint it however you please. So if your style is more like farmhouse, maybe you would prefer, you know, the black and white. Because my style is more industrial and steampunk, my favorite is black with the copper accents, because I prefer that. But just like anything else, you guys, I'm just here to teach you guys like methods of things that you can do, and then you guys take and you put your own awesome sauce on your work, and you make it custom to what you love, and you make it yours, and hopefully you guys would share. I would love to see your projects. But I think that's all we have for today. Thank you guys so much. If you have any questions, you can leave them in the comments, and I'll try to pop in and get them answered. Again, my name is Royce Hunt Bell of Roycycled Treasures. If you guys are looking for any of the things that I've used here today, you can find them on my website. I'll put a link below, and I'll put a link for anything that I had on Amazon as well, so that you guys can find those quickly. You can find me at roycycled.com. I also have a blog there where you can read articles. And I think that's all I have for today. Thank you so much. Be sure and subscribe if you want to see more, and hit the bell if you want to get alerted. Thank you. Have a blessed day.